What's good, y'all? Y'all saw the news last night, and Mikal Bridges is a New York Knick. I wanted to make this video last night, but there were so many moving parts and moving pieces within this trade that affected so many teams and players that I couldn't just go on and just say whatever. So I went over it, slept over it, and here are my thoughts about this Mikal Bridges trade. And I think a lot of dominoes are about to fall in the NBA. First off, with New York overpaid for Mikal Bridges, plain and simple. They paid 5 first-round picks, including a second-round pick, to get Mikal Bridges, who I don't even think is a top 35 player, top 40 player in the league. Now, I'll stop there. What Mikal Bridges adds to the New York Knicks is very important, and in his role as a defensive wing and another off-ball scoring option, Mikal Bridges is probably one of the best options out there. Not to mention the Villanova connection with the guys on the Knicks, such as Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart. Those guys clearly have some chemistry and have wanted Mikal Bridges on the team. And again, Mikal Bridges fits the prototypical wing that you need on your team. You can somehow keep OG Anunoby, hopefully, add in Mikal Bridges. You have a lot of wings on a team that can defend, shoot the 3-ball, rebound, things of that nature, and you still have Jalen Brunson's scoring ability. You can go into the offseason and also make some more moves, but the Knicks right now, by adding Mikal Bridges, are the second best team in the Eastern Conference, no debate to me. However, trading 5 first-round picks, I don't understand. I understand why they did it, but from an asset management standpoint, that is an overpayment, and they have to win because you mortgage a lot of your future to get Mikal Bridges in New York. Again, New York, I understand Mikal Bridges is going to probably fit seamlessly in this role, playing off the ball. And I think people are confused about the Brooklyn Nets Mikal Bridges that you saw. His role is going to be scaled down tremendously. You're not going to need him to have the ball in his hands as much as he did in Brooklyn. I think of how he looked in Phoenix and how he was improving in that role and how he came second in depoy voting that year. You're going to get a guy who loves to defend. You have a guy who's played every single game since he's been in the NBA, has not missed a game. I don't know what Tom Thibodeau's going to do about that. That's going to be that. We have to look out for that. But Mikal Bridges is going to be a very, very good piece for this team. I love the fit. I love what New York can do. This might mean that Julius Randle could be on the move if they try to keep OG Anunoby. But there's some more question marks with the Knicks and trying to figure out what they need to do to make sure this roster is complete to compete against the Celtics. But as of right now, I would have the Knicks as the second best team in the Eastern Conference right now. The only problem for me is that you traded a lot of pieces for Mikal Bridges, and I ain't gonna lie, they set the market for trades in this offseason. So if you're trading for anyone else, if I'm trading for anyone who's better than Mikal Bridges, I think I start the negotiations at least 4 first-round picks, unprotected. Again, New York, an overpayment, I understand, but I'll give you guys like a C+, B-, and hopefully you guys can get to the finals, because this type of move is what if you make this type of move on an asset management side, spending 5 first-round picks, yeah, you gotta get to the finals. And luckily, y'all are the second best team in my eyes to get there. In regards to the Brooklyn Nets, I have made so many jokes on this channel about the Brooklyn Nets. I've clowned them on my Twitter. I've done so many things. Today, I'm not gonna do that. Brooklyn, I commend y'all for finding a way to get out of the situation that y'all were in. Now, I told y'all that there are a lot of moving pieces in this trade. We're gonna talk about Houston, but before I get to Houston, I have to mention, Brooklyn does not trade Mikal Bridges unless they know that Houston is trading back their picks. And we'll talk about the Houston side. But trading Mikal Bridges, getting 5 first-round picks back, then on top of that, getting those Brooklyn Nets picks back from Houston in swap for those Suns picks that they already had from the KD trade is marvelous. Brooklyn, I commend y'all. Sean Marks, that was a great trade. Now, Brooklyn has the ease and notion of trying to fully go into a rebuild. They don't own their 2027 pick. It's a swap with Houston, but you can go into the next 2 years, not this year, obviously, because Houston owns your 2024, but you can really go into a rebuild and find some type of direction of what you want to do with your team. I think that Brooklyn saw what happened years ago and didn't want to have that happen again and realized, okay, let's at least try to find a way to rebuild this team and own our own assets. Because I said before in previous videos, when you're rebuilding, if you don't own your own assets, you're in trouble. There's not much you can really do. You have to own your own assets because then you can decide what you want to do with your team. But if you tank and this is kind of what Houston did in years past. When Houston didn't own their own picks, it's hard to rebuild. It's hard to do what you want to do because you have to win because the picks aren't coming back to you. But Brooklyn did a great job. They got their 2025 and 2026 picks back. Those are two really high quality draft classes that are gonna have some players that could fall to them. And now they have direction of like, okay, we can go into the season, develop, add in some pieces, take on some contracts, take on some more assets. Brooklyn, I commend y'all. Great deal. And I think that they came up big because of the Mikal Bridges trade. Now, let's talk about Houston. As a Houston Rockets fan, this truly confused me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was getting off of work last night and I saw the trade. I saw the trade for Mikal Bridges and I thought, oh, we are up. The Brooklyn Nets picks are gonna be worth gold. And then I saw that we traded those picks for the Suns picks. And at the Suns picks, according to Woj, we're trying to use to make a big deal in getting like a player like Kevin Durant. But then it became Devin Booker. So let me say this off the rip. The Mikal Bridges deal to New York does not happen unless Houston accepts the offer that Brooklyn set on the table. Brooklyn basically said, we will give you the Suns picks if you give us those Nets picks back. And the general manager, Rafael Stone for the Rockets, according to Woj, and I'll tell you what I actually think, wants those Suns picks because he wants to mortgage the future of the Suns in trying to get Kevin Durant or maybe Devin Booker. So instead of keeping those Nets picks, he was able to double those assets because the Suns picks, remember, the two Nets picks that the Rockets had was an unprotected first and a swap. The Suns picks were two unprotected first and two swaps. So now the Rockets basically doubled their assets, having two unprotected first and two swaps from the Suns, and you have the ability to somehow mortgage that and try to push a deal to get Kevin Durant or Devin Booker. Now, here's the problem. You are gambling that you're able to get one of those dudes. And then on top of that, my main issue with the Rockets right now, I don't have a problem with doubling your assets. Completely fine. You need to double your assets. But for you guys that watched my last video, the very last video that I watched, I literally said the blueprint to winning in the NBA in this era is going to be homegrown talent. If the Rockets are going to use those picks and trade young core pieces for a 36-year-old Kevin Durant, I promise you guys, that would be my 13th reason. That would be one of the dumbest moves anyone could make in this era, in this rebuild. I don't even think trading for Devin Booker is really that, I don't have an emphasis for that. Because Devin Booker's 27 going on 28. Then on top of that, you have so many young pieces on your team that you still have to see how they develop and see how they perform. I think there's a lot of smoke screen around what Houston is going to do, but I'm just letting you guys know what they have and what the possibilities are. They have those double assets from the Suns. Will it work out? It could. You could have just kept the Nets picks and not even if you keep those Nets picks and Mikal Bridges isn't traded from the Brooklyn Nets, who's to say the Brooklyn Nets are still not one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference and you still have high quality picks that you can use in the future? The Suns picks, again, and just from an asset standpoint, not even trading them, in 2027, Kevin Durant's off the books. You have the last year of Devin Booker. By that point, I don't think they're re-signing that core. I think they go into the rebuild if this doesn't actually work out. So I love the asset management. The problem is, what are you gonna do with those assets? That's my main question at hand, and that's the thing, there's no answer for that right now, guys. We don't know. That's really what happened yesterday with the Mikal Bridges trade. If I was to give you guys a trade grade right now, the Knicks get a C+, close to a B-. It really all depends on how they move their team, but they overspent for Mikal Bridges, but he's a perfect fit. So it could really end up being better. For the Brooklyn Nets, clear A+. They can now go into their rebuild with some guidance and some structure. Clear A+, and that's the most important thing if you're gonna try to rebuild in this era. For the Rockets, I have to say a B-, and that grade can fluctuate because you doubled your assets. But then again, what you do with those assets can determine my grade, and I'm just not a part of the whole Kevin Durant trade and Devin Booker trade, but we'll see what they do. I had to make this video for you guys. I really don't know what's going to happen. Today's the draft. We will see what the moves are, guys. But if you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. You guys know about the gaming channel already, Wevo. Y'all show some love to that. But I'll catch you on the next one. Stay on beat.